So what was the over-under for Bill to be the first person ejected out of the Amazing Race for you?
Days in the competition itself, or just the first person? One.
Unbackable. Yeah, exactly. Mate, and now we're hearing almost through to the final.
Mate, people
really? That's what we're hearing.
Well, from me, because I've got an inside source who tells me not to tell anyone. But
we're telling everyone.
But you know what? And the fact is, they have to run on that show, so I don't know how he's doing it.
I don't either.
I reckon he might have one of those scooters.
With those
Maybe. Yeah.
The fused ankle.
You know when people have, people have, like when they do a knee now, you see AFL players, they kneel on it, and it just sort of projects them along like a scooter. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
So that's how fat's getting around.
I reckon
it has to be.
I reckon he's souped up one of those shopping cart ones, you know.
Right. Four-wheeler.
I reckon he'd need
one of those.
Two's not enough. Purple. I just said before, because of the moving house, I've had tech issues. I haven't been able to watch much television. I've missed most of the round. I saw the Blues. Ordinary against the Swans, and then I saw a really good game, Collingwood Adelaide.
Well, you called that one.
Where again, the Pies find a way to get themselves out of jail.
And again, Adelaide doesn't find a way to get through those numbers.
So where do you want to start?
I think it's impossible to start anywhere other than Harley Reid's performance for West Coast against Melbourne last night, or yesterday, Hughie.
I wasn't watching the game. It popped up on Instagram.
Yeah, I saw that too.
I was blown away by that goal. Did you see it live?
Yeah, well, live on my couch.
Well, that's enough, though. It's like the moon landing. That goal was it extraordinary live?
Yeah, it was. And I actually don't often do this, but I actually, without realising it, was up out of the chair and making a noise, which attracted my youngest son, who then came running down. But yeah, it was just extraordinary. It was one of those moments, wasn't it?
Especially putting a flamethrower at Christian Petrarca,
and burnt him.
Who's an explosive athlete himself, and he just distanced.
And had no interest in passing it, which was the beauty of it. I just thought, just please kick this goal now, and then did.
Like Peter Matera in the grand final.
It was an element of that, wasn't it?
That type of thing. No, it was unbelievable.
Yeah, and other plays too. I mean, it's now been packaged up and celebrated almost equally to the goal itself, was the fend-off of Petrarca and Oliver in the one play. There are other moments and movements that defy what most midfielders are doing.
He looks at, he runs at really strong men just so he can push them aside. Yeah. He's unbelievable.
It's extraordinary. And they've now got 3 wins to this point of the season, and he's been instrumental in all of those 3 wins.
And that's a proper win too, because Melbourne are a very, very good team. So, and they put them to the sword by the look of it.
And they did a couple of weeks earlier, again with him performing well in the Derby.
Yep.
So he's had big moments in the biggest games that he's played, and he's had 9 games to his name to this point, and I reckon he's probably polled in at least 3 games of Brownlow medal.
And West Coast at home now are going to go in favourites in almost every game.
Or at least be confident, I suppose, to be competitive, which is what they were not for 2 years prior to that. So,
Excellent.
Just another quick mention too. I mean, we talk about them. Elliot Yeo wasn't part of that mix yesterday, so he's still to come back. I feel Tim Kelly's been pretty solid too, while the other names are getting the headlines, and rightly so. I think he's been really instrumental. I think McGovern's almost getting back to somewhere near he was 2-3 years ago. Now, he's at a later stage of his career, but he's still important. Darling's come good again, and the man, the big J trainer, as some are calling him, Jake Waterman.
What about that? 5 more.
Yeah, so the last 5 times he's played, in order, 6, 5, 4, 3, then he was concussed, and then 5 goals.
Summer Magic.
Equal Coleman medal leading.
How is this
the best forward they've had since Summer Magic?
But also, he's been around for years.
Yeah, he has.
What, is he 10 years
in? He was in hospital a year ago with doubts about playing again, let alone leading a Coleman medal after 10 rounds of the 2024 season.
Crazy.
It was a round of individual performances too that just stood off. And I loved what Zak Butters did in the last quarter. Now, I think people will say that Jason Horne-Francis over the 4 quarters was more instrumental in that win. But to get 17 touches as he did against Hawthorn when they were 41 points down late in the third quarter, it was 28 points at 3-quarter time. And then some of it was butchered by way of his disposal, but he just was not going to walk off that ground unless he got his team in front before the siren sounded. And then as we saw, he had 1 second left to do it. But again, when they had 33 seconds left, Rioli got the free kick, kicked the goal. He then got the ball out of the next clearance to bang it forward before Darcy Byrne-Jones could run onto it.
That's one of the most extraordinary finishes to a game ever.
Yep.
My family took over the TV. My daughters don't like footy, which annoys me. But I looked at the online. It said it was like a minute to go. They were 9 points up in the pouring rain.
Yeah.
And how the hell did Hawthorn lose that?
The ball was on the wing, the outer wing, with 33 seconds left, and they're 11 points down. So it needed to be perfect from that moment.
In the
Rioli got a
rain.
free kick, which I feel was there.
It was there.
Yeah, it was there. He then went back really quickly, kicked it. They had 22 seconds at that point in the pouring rain still.
Crazy.
And Butters got it out and smashed it forward. And then it was just a comedy of errors. We'll touch on Hawthorn's aspect of that in the negatives. Right. Jim, you and I discussed on the Saturday rub what Chad Warner had done the previous night.
Yes, Kurt, as I called him.
Kurt Warner.
Not during the call, it was afterwards, but
Yeah.
still. Couldn't hear myself think in the Sydney rooms.
Was it on air?
As soon as I said it, I thought, his name isn't Kurt.
Was it
Super Bowl winning quarterback.
was it corrected at the time or not?
Yes, I said. I think
You
I just called
corrected
him
it.
Kurt.
'Cause sometimes when they let it go. Your fellow co-hosts let it go, don't you? Like,
Yeah,
we'll just let that go.
If
What's
Hodgie
your
knew,
theory, Hugh?
if Hodgie knew it wasn't Kurt, he would have pointed it out straight away. But he
Do you
didn't.
like letting it slip through, or do you think you have to
No,
call
you've
it?
got to correct
I
it.
think you're better off calling it, aren't you?
Absolutely
Yeah.
correct it.
Mm.
Yeah, because then no one else can call you out for it.
Exactly.
Heaney officially got the 10 votes from the, when I say officially, the coaches' votes. I don't know how much
Isaac
time they
did.
put in. No. Warner got the 10
I was
votes.
going to say,
yeah.
I don't,
Yeah.
much as you know how much
You
I love
love
Isaac, I don't
Isaac
think
Heaney.
he was the
He
best
was
player
amongst the
around.
votes again, which I think it makes it still a
But
clean
that's how
sweep
good a
for him.
player he is, Purple. Even when he's having what was not an off night, but nothing like he has been. He still kicked 3
Yeah, he did.
as a
Yeah.
midfielder.
Yeah.
Oh, they are dynamite.
He got himself in the right spot,
Yep.
didn't he? Their midfield mix is something to behold, isn't it? With what Rowbottom is just doing now and has done for probably 3 years, best part of the addition of James Jordan from Melbourne, and he's found his role with that run with role, and it just frees up Heaney, Warner, and Goulden to do what
And Rowbottom,
football's with those
15
abilities meant to do. Yeah.
Which Isaac Smith said second to the ball. But gave him no credit for having 15 effective tackles in a game. It just means you're second to the ball and
That-
not into Izzy.
It was a very happy rooms to be in, even though I shouldn't have been there
shouldn't have been
because
there.
I should have. But they wouldn't have wanted me in the Carlton rooms, would they? They wouldn't.
Your
Probably
exact
not.
words were what
Well,
to me? When I asked you what the hell you were doing, you said,
what did I say? I can't
why,
remember.
why weren't you in the Carlton rooms? Huey said, they don't deserve me after that performance, was the exact words he said. Exactly what was said.
Well, it's hard to dispute because we'll get to them in the negatives,
right.
but
Yes.
they were
Righto,
very,
who
very
else are you
honest.
positive about?
Very positive about Nick Daicos' last four of his last 5 have been quite brilliant.
Yep.
And whatever you want to say about what happened in the first 3 weeks to him and his footy club, it just doesn't matter now. They are officially back to what they were in 2023
Yep.
and most of 2022.
It's scary.
It is. It actually is. And he just seems to be taking, when people question any part of his game. Initially, it was, you're getting easy kicks on a half back. Well, okay, I'll go into the middle and show you how to do it there. And then it was like, well, he's getting a lot of uncontested possessions. Now he's getting contested possessions. It's like whenever anyone wants to challenge him.
Yep.
The next thing will be, well, doesn't kick a lot of goals. Well, he'll go and kick 4 or 5 in a game. And he just does anything that he wants. And
And they have a heap of injuries as well, don't they?
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah, well, still no Mychek and Elliott. I mean, that's full
Yeah.
forward. And the
Yeah.
way they structure up, full forward and centre 40 in their structure. De Goey was also out of the team the previous week. They had no forwards to speak of, and they got the job done.
A clutch late from De Goey too.
Clutch late.
The bloke
And-
I don't know who it was, missed at the other end, and then he just gets a shot and nails it.
Yeah, and again, that passage of play, the smother by Quain or the pick up by Crisp and the taking on of the play, then Daicos knowing that he needed some help, he just came through and got it and then just weighted the kick to De Goey.
and
It's just extraordinary.
It's sickening. It's sickening. It is.
Go back to the Thursday game, just in the positives. Noah Anderson's performance for the Gold Coast Suns against Geelong. They just keep winning the games that they play against teams about them. That was their best win for the year. They've got games still to come against Kilda, Richmond, North and West Coast.
They should have lots of games up there. That's what they should do.
Yeah,
Ask for
well,
Darwin
in
to
Darwin.
be there
Yeah,
second
now
bloody
6
home.
from 6 in the past 3 seasons at
Yeah, and it was
that
a good
venue.
crowd as well, wasn't it?
It was a good crowd.
12,000, yeah.
I raised those opponents still to come because they've got 6 wins already. That'll get them almost the way games are playing this year. That'll get them to 10. They've just got to get another 2 or 3 out of the remaining.
Well, the Dogs
13.
have got to be in here somewhere. Your positives.
Yeah, I'm about to
good.
go to them now. I want to highlight Ed Richards'. I know Treloar got all the possessions, but I just love what Ed Richards has done through the absence of Tom Liberatore, who the club has just only moments ago released saying he is now expected to be back within 2 to 3 weeks. And that's
good.
a positive sign because he had those 2 consecutive head knocks in games and they took him out of the decisions around playing there for a couple of weeks, and they've put him through all the testings, and that's come back as well as it could have at this stage. So 2 to 3 weeks is what the club is saying today. So positive. Just on that concussion issue too, Tom McCartan, I believe, will play for the Swans on Thursday night against the Bulldogs, actually.
That's a huge game, isn't it, this one?
That is a huge game, yeah. And it's great to see him back there. I think you spoke to him, or BT spoke to him post-match, didn't he, with Roman Bryan. Yeah, just quick reference before we finish off the positives. Luke Ryan for the Dockers against St Kilda. He's had a really good year. Really, really good year. Dockers were great. Dane Zorko has stepped up hard in the past month for the Lions, and he was great against Richmond. And just a lesser light at Essendon. Matt Guelphy for the second consecutive week. Yep, 3 goals for the second consecutive week.
Good looking and tough. That's how they breed him down
He is
there.
a good looking boy.
Right, I'll tell you what we're doing is going negative net. Don't look at me like that, Huey. I'll give you the old Claremont welcome.
We're going to wind up from the negatives.
All right, we're done with positives?
Yeah, we're done with positives.
We're going the other way.
Going the other way.
Here we go.
Yeah, here we go. And I'm going to put up a number one negative, Hawthorn Footy Club. Now, we judge them differently, and in the scheme of things, Hughesy, when you look back on round 10, 2024, maybe in 3 years' time, it won't matter what happened. But in the isolation of this season, to concede a 41-point margin that they had just before three-quarter time, and to just sit back and watch Port kick the last 6 goals of the game in those conditions, it's something that, let's know Sam Mitchell, and anyone who does knows him well enough to know he won't accept that either.
Yeah.
So he will be as harsh on himself as any other aspect of that loss. And I think they at a stage of their redevelopment now where they need to be, because that was a game that got away.
Yeah, extraordinary result. Has Matthew Lloyd he's got an issue with Hawthorn, doesn't he? You reckon?
Well, Essendon. There's long-seated,
Yes.
long-standing
Why do you
Well,
raise
I was
that?
watching you on the AFL.com.
Access all areas?
Yeah, and I just thought that Lloydo really a little bit extra.
Was there?
It's a Hawthorn thing.
Yes.
Is that fair to say? It is, isn't
Well,
it?
he's up and about too now. The Bombers are back too.
Yeah,
so
of
he's,
course he is. Right.
There's 2 ways to look at it. I didn't see the game. But when you're where Hawthorn are,
Yep.
you can focus hard on the fact that in Adelaide against Port Adelaide, who are a pretty decent team,
41 up.
You're 41 up.
Yep.
So you've got to do a lot right to get to
Yep.
there. Now, they obviously completely buggered it up after that, but you also got to perhaps acknowledge a little bit that for an emerging team to do that is a tick.
No, I agree with that too, Jim, and I do. It's just that I know that he feels they're at a semi-finals chance. Sorry, when it's semi, a finals chance in his
This
mind.
year?
I think he feels if they got on a roll.
think-
Yeah, I look. That's my take on where they are. And look, their best is good.
Yeah,
it
he
is
knows
good.
them
And,
better than we do.
and
They're
it was
building. They are building.
Yeah, and I love what they did with Blake Hardwick, who kicked 4 goals in the first quarter, had 5 to three-quarter time, and then played back. So the mentality was go back. So
But Lloydo did point out all the mistakes that Hardwick made in that last
yes,
quarter.
he did do that, didn't he?
The old
And,
velvet sledgehammer.
he
Come on,
went
sledgehammer.
hard.
in fact, he didn't miss you at all now, I think, did he? No. So conceding the last 6 goals.
Yeah.
Geelong's got some concerns. I wasn't worried after what happened 3 weeks ago. Lost to Melbourne by 8 points. Lost to Port Adelaide in round 9 by 6. But a 64-point loss and conceding 26 goals to the Gold Coast Suns is reason and cause for concern.
Red lights were flashing, though, prior to that. That's the worst Geelong team on paper that they've put out for a fair while.
It may well have
because
been.
they've had a whole
Yeah.
lot of injury. And
Yeah, they
so I think
rested-
their best team is still a very good team.
Yes.
How long is Jeremy Cameron out for? Was he going to be back?
I think he'll be back this week,
Right.
as far as I can tell. But, we'll soon find out, won't we? But they need him back because they just weren't performing without him. Melbourne's performance, a genuine worry there too. They got West Coast on a hot Harley Reid day, but they just weren't able to match them. And you just wonder, don't you? And they... Again, tinkered with their forward line. Shane McAdam was the person who they brought in for his first game as a Demon. He's got some serious talent, kicked a goal, and will be better for the run. But they just did not work down there for them. And their midfielders were shown up by a just turned 19-year-old in his first season of footy, and they all acknowledged it post game. And you could almost see, well, what are we doing? We have got the best midfield on paper when it comes to Petrarca, Oliver, and Viney, and they weren't able to match it.
How's Oliver going How's he going at the moment? Is he going well, or is he just going?
You could argue, Hughesy, that he was Melbourne's best player
Yeah.
yesterday, but it wasn't what we'd seen in those 4 seasons where he miraculously won the best and fairest in a team in those 4 years inside 6 when you had Gawn and Petrarca also part of it and Viney. So, yeah, he's toiling hard given he didn't do a pre-season.
Yep.
Just been told here by Rabsy that Luke Parker has been sent straight to the tribunal. That's the VFL tribunal. Careless conduct, severe impact, high contact, 4+ matches is what is attached to that statement. And Josh Smith, who was the player he collected in that VFL hit out on Friday night, had surgery on a fractured cheekbone since that incident. So bad news for Luke Parker.
Is some of that frustration, I didn't see the incident, but at not being able to get into that side.
You could take that view on it. It was unnecessary. It was away from the contest.
Yeah.
equally, maybe Josh Smith is not expecting that type of contact from that hardened body in that moment.
Yeah.
But again, it doesn't make it right. And yeah, the fact that it was his third game in the VFL while he's, his teammates are blitzing
flying.
games. Yeah,
It's
with
so
Taylor Adams
good.
in the team, James Jordan, both being added to that team since he last played. Obviously, he had the injury in the off-season, and three-time All-Australian, three-time best and fairest win at the Swans, now going to be out for some time as per that ruling. Carlton, Hughesy, you want me to flag a little bit of time for it, so over you.
Well, no, it was disappointing. There's no doubt about it. We've got a lot of injuries, though, so that's something to... We've got to beat Gold Coast this week. I think it's a crunch game. It's Saturday afternoon, and they're on the same points, and Gold Coast don't travel, but the Blues have to win this. Is that fair to say?
The issue for me with Carlton is if you take contest and clearance away from them, they don't seem to have a lot else by way of being able to transition the ball.
It's fair to say.
Now, they've got a few outs. Sard's important in that and Chera. So those two not playing doesn't help. But it was worrying for Michael Voss from about the 25-minute mark of the first quarter that they could not move the ball at all.
Yep. No, I agree.
For three and a bit quarters of footy.
Yep, and they weren't able to get Mackay and Curnow into the game properly after that
for that
early
reason.
start.
Once you can't move.
And, I mean, I did a lot of swearing at the SCG, and I did no good. It just did no good.
Yes.
St Kilda, just lifeless. They really are. I mean, we had a week where Ross Lyon bemoaned the lack of scoring opportunities that they'd created to that point of the season, and then they go up against Fremantle and manage to just reach the half century of points in totality.
And Freo missed everything.
Freo
if they kick straight, they win that by 55 points.
It was 17 points officially. It could have been every bit of what you've just said, 55.
If Freo can find a modicum of polish, that's all they're lacking, I reckon.
And I reckon it'll come.
Yeah, they just need polish going forward. If they can find that, the rest of what they're doing is really good.
I like what they're doing up forward. I think Amos is tracking beautifully. The 40 goals last year in his first full season of footy. And
this
Tracy.
is a negative area. We've got to stick with a negative.
Right,
okay.
That's a good point, actually. Well,
St Kilda,
you're actually liking it, aren't you? Look at you.
Their fans have given up. The St Kilda fans, they think it's over.
Huey doesn't want us being positive. I like it.
Well, if you go back to what Andrew Bassett said in the week that he removed, and his St Kilda board removed Brett Ratton at the end of 2022, it was a late decision in that particular year. It was after the season had finished, so it was September into October. He felt they were ready to go, and last year they were, and they were okay.
You know what? This feels very much like when Carlton got rid of Brett Ratton, brought in a legend coach, Mick Moldhouse, paid him a heap of money.
There you go.
This is why he wants it negative. I know. Richmond, I didn't see any of that, but
No,
you don't see 119 point losses.
119 points. Finished the round with a percentage of 59.6. Speaking of injuries, that needs to be part of the conversation. They've got more than any other club. So, yes, we'll factor that in, but you just feel for Adamuzzo right now. I keep saying there will not be an event that happens in the world, let alone football, that surpasses Richmond beating the Sydney Swans this year.
Incredible.
How did that happen?
Well, Scotty Scheffler getting locked up driving to a golf course.
I reckon Richmond beating the Swans tops that.
I think Harley Reid's goal. And what could have been at North.
There you go. Shut up, Hugh. Good to see you. And I'll tell you, if Jay-Z's had another clip at North in the paper today, I'm going to get that kookaburra out there and club him with it.
No, you're not, Jim. You can't condone violence.
Well, I'm going to hit his guts. He's got enough padding there. Good to see you, Purple.
See you, boys.